The 1955 wheat penny as a cornerstone of American numismatics. It is often used as an example in coin books and guides to illustrate how minting errors can create some of the most valuable coins in history. The doubling is so pronounced that even beginners can identify it, making it accessible to new collectors, while still being a prized possession for experts. Now when it comes to value, this is where things get exciting. On platforms like eBay, prices for the 1955 double-die penny can vary dramatically depending on condition. Circulated examples often fetch hundreds to thousands of dollars, while uncirculated or high-grade examples, certified by grading companies, can sell for tens of thousands of dollars. At major auctions, pristine specimens have even exceeded $50,000, making it one of the most lucrative pennies ever released by the U.S. Mint. What makes the market so active for this coin is not just rarity, but also popularity. It's one of those coins that every collector dreams of owning at least once, which keeps demand alive year after year. Even collectors who normally don't specialize in pennies often make an exception for the 1955 double die simply because of its iconic status. If you've ever come across a 1955 wheat penny, it's worth checking closely. Even regular 1955 pennies in uncirculated condition can bring in more than face value, but the double die version is the real jackpot. Imagine finding one tucked away in an old coin jar, passed down through family, or hidden in a forgotten collection. As for selling, many collectors turn to platforms like eBay, heritage auctions, and Stacks Bowers, where the demand is always strong. Certified coins from grading companies like PCGS or NGC often bring the highest prices because buyers are assured of authenticity. So, if you happen to own one of these, it could be a life-changing discovery. Like I mentioned earlier, this coin might just turn the tables for you. But here's the twist: rather than giving away the exact value right now, I want you to comment the word price in the comment box below, and I'll personally tell you its current market value and guide you on the best way to sell it for maximum profit. This way, not only will you learn what your 1955 Liberty wheat penny is worth, but you'll also discover how to turn this small piece of copper into a significant payout. So make sure you drop a comment, because the journey of this coin isn't just about history, it's about opportunity. In your drawer could actually change your life. What if I told you that a small brown coin from 1953, the Liberty wheat penny, might be one of those coins that could turn the tables for you financially if you own one? It might be worth far more than you think. Stick around, because in this video I am going to take you deep into its history, its hidden details, and by the end you will find out exactly why collectors are chasing it, and how you can discover its true value. The 1953 Liberty wheat penny is part of the beloved Lincoln Wheat series, which began in 1909 to celebrate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the very first American coin to feature a real person, and not just an allegorical figure, making it a turning point in U.S. numismatic history. By 1953, the wheat penny had already become an iconic staple of American coinage, treasured for both its design and its symbolism. The obverse of the 1953 coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This portrait, while simple, carries a weight of history. Lincoln's image was chosen not only because of his role in preserving the Union, but also because he symbolized honesty, strength, and leadership during one of America's most turbulent times. Collectors today often remark that holding one of these coins feels like holding a direct piece of U.S. history. On the reverse side, the wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent and United States of America, giving this coin its nickname, the wheat penny. These two sheaves of wheat are not just decorative. They represent American agriculture, hard work, and the prosperity of a nation that depended on its farmers. Combined with Lincoln's portrait, the design struck a chord with the American people and has remained one of the most admired designs in U.S. coinage. Now, the year 1953 itself holds special interest. These pennies were struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with a small d, and San Francisco with an S. Each mint produced millions, but their survival in pristine condition is another story. Many 1953 pennies entered circulation immediately, were handled for decades, and show heavy wear. That makes uncirculated pieces, or those with mint errors, significantly more valuable to collectors. In terms of composition, the 1953 Liberty wheat penny followed the standard post-war formula of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This gave it a warm reddish-brown color when freshly struck. Over time, exposure to the environment darkened many of these coins, but those preserved in original rolls or coin albums often retain brilliant red luster that commands higher prices at auction. Red luster that commands higher prices at auction. Collectors often separate wheat pennies into three categories based on color: red, red-brown, and brown. A 1953 penny with a bright red shine is worth far more than a dull, circulated example, even if they are the same year and mint. Grading services such as PCGS and NGC carefully analyze these coins, and the higher the grade, the more dramatic the value jump can be. When we explore the collector market today, the 1953 Liberty Wheat Penny shows its fascinating range of value. On platforms like eBay, common circulated examples may only fetch a small premium over face value, usually a few cents to a couple of dollars. But once you step into higher grades, prices rise sharply. Uncirculated 1953 pennies with strong luster and minimal marks often sell between $10 and $50 depending on their mint mark and condition. Exceptional examples certified as MS65 or MS66 have been known to cross into the hundreds. Even more impressive are the rare error coins such as doubled dies, off-center strikes, or coins struck on the wrong planchet, which can bring hundreds or even thousands at major auctions. Auction houses beyond eBay, such as Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers, have recorded remarkable sales for high-grade and rare variety. 1953 Liberty Wheat Pennies, for example MS67 red specimens, are extremely scarce and have fetched prices well above $1,000. These outliers fuel collector enthusiasm and prove that even a humble penny can surprise the market. What makes the 1953 penny particularly engaging for collectors is its balance of availability and challenge. While many circulated pieces exist, finding true gems requires patience and expertise. This keeps the series alive in the collector community and ensures that every year, including 1953, retains its relevance in the numismatic world. For new collectors, the 1953 penny is an accessible entry point. It is not as rare or unattainable as the 1909 S VDB or the 191 4D, but it still holds enough intrigue to excite. For experienced numismatists, it represents a year to upgrade their set with the finest possible example. Either way, it is a coin that bridges the casual hobbyist with the serious investor. The coin's popularity has also been strengthened by its connection to American history. Remember, this was a coin circulating during the presidency of Dwight D. Eisenhower, time when the United States was establishing its post-war dominance and navigating the early years of the Cold War. Every 1953 penny in circulation passed through the hands of Americans living in an era of profound change, and that historic weight gives it added meaning. So when we step back and think, what is the true worth of the 1953 Liberty Wheat Penny? The answer depends on condition, rarity, and the market. On eBay, you may see them listed for anywhere from a few cents to hundreds of dollars. In auctions, the very best examples push far higher. Height of World War II. This coin represents a pivotal moment in American history, reflecting both wartime innovation and the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln. The Wheat Penny series, officially called the Lincoln Cent, began in 1909 to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin featured Lincoln's profile on the obverse and 2 wheat ears on the reverse, symbolizing prosperity. The Lincoln Wheat Penny became a symbol of American values, including hard work, liberty, and unity. From 1909 until 1958, the wheat reverse remained, earning it the name Wheat Penny among collectors. 1944. The United States was deeply entrenched in World War II. The war placed heavy demands on natural resources, including copper, which was critical for ammunition production. To conserve copper, the U.S. Mint made drastic changes in 1943 by minting steel cents coated with zinc. These 1943 steel pennies were not well received. They rusted easily and were often confused with dimes. In response, the mint altered its strategy again in 1944. 1944 copper returned to the cent, but not in the same form as before. The U.S. Mint began melting down spent ammunition shell casings, which were made of brass, and used them to create the 1944 penny. Thus, the 1944 Liberty Wheat Penny was composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, technically classifying it as a brass coin. This unique wartime alloy gives 1944 cents a distinct golden brown appearance, different from the pre-war copper pennies. The 1944 Liberty wheat penny was produced in massive numbers due to economic demands of the war. It was minted at 3 locations. Philadelphia Mint. No mint mark approx. 1.43 billion coins. Despite the large mintage, several rare and valuable varieties emerged. 1944 steel cent. A few 1944 cents were mistakenly struck on leftover 1943 steel plankets. These 1944 steel pennies are incredibly rare and can fetch over $100,000 at auction, depending on condition and mint mark. 1944 D/S, a rare variety where a Denver mint mark was punched over a San Francisco mint mark. These are prized by collectors. Off-center strikes, double dies, and clipped plankets, like many coins. Some 1944 pennies exhibit minting errors, increasing their value among enthusiasts. The Lincoln cent was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, Abraham Lincoln, rather than a symbolic figure like Lady Liberty. The 1944 penny continued this legacy during a time when Lincoln's values unity, liberty, and perseverance deeply resonated with the nation at war. Lincoln's presence on the coin during World War II served as a subtle reminder of America's enduring principles in the face of global conflict. Because of its massive production, most 1944 wheat pennies are common. In 1944, the United States was at the peak of its industrial might. During World War II, factories that once made consumer goods had shifted to producing tanks, planes, and ammunition. Every resource was carefully allocated, and metals like copper and nickel were critical to the war effort. The U.S. government enforced strict rationing, and even coins were subject to scrutiny. The decision to use spent ammunition, shell casings for coin production, was not only symbolic but also strategic. It demonstrated that nothing was wasted, and every piece of metal was recycled for victory. From 1944 to 1946, the Lincoln cents were made from recycled shell casings, which were collected from military training grounds and battlefields. This made the coins themselves part of the war effort, minted quite literally from the remnants of conflict. These are sometimes referred to as shell case cents or victory cents, and though chemically similar to pre-war bronze cents, the slight differences in appearance are visible under close examination. The mint facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco used single squeeze dies to strike the coins. The high volume of production meant that quality control was not always perfect, which contributed to numerous errors and die varieties. Despite that, the 1944 pennies are generally well struck and display strong design elements. The obverse still used Victor D. Brenner's original design from 1909, which remained largely unchanged throughout the wheat cent era. Throughout the mid-20th century, the 1944 wheat cent became one of the most commonly found coins in circulation, especially among baby boomers, who often pulled them from pocket change. As part of beginning coin collections, the 1970s and 1980s, interest in coin collecting soared. The 1944 penny was often one of the first coins young collectors would identify and store in cardboard albums. This mass interest kept the coin story alive across generations. While copper was reintroduced in 1944, a few leftover, zinc-coated steel plankets from 1943 were mistakenly used in 1944. This led to the ultra-rare 1944 steel penny, which is among the most valuable Lincoln cents in existence. Many people who lived through the 1940s have memories tied to these coins, using them for candy war bond drives and bus fare, a time when a single cent held more purchasing power and patriotic meaning. During World War II, nearly every aspect of American life was connected to the war effort, from Rosie the Riveter to ration books. Coins like the 1944 penny became miniature tokens of patriotism, literally minted from the tools of war and carried in the pockets of a determined nation. They were a daily reminder of sacrifice, unity, and national strength. 1944. The U.S. Mint also struck coins for several foreign governments under special agreements. As global trade routes reopened and the Allies advanced